Hello, today we are going to be reviewing for our Unit 1 Fiction Elements Assessment, which will be tomorrow. The way that we are going to be doing this is reading a story and filling out the plot diagram with this story. We just got to play a Kahoot, and I hope that you had fun with that as a whole class. With that Kahoot, we got to practice identifying parts of plot and fiction elements. Things like the plot diagram, types of conflict, point of view, how to infer character traits. And now we are going to apply all of those skills to a story called Freddie in the Shade. As we are reading, I would like for you to keep in mind we are going to be plotting out this story. So maybe have your notes open and be jotting down what parts you realize, oh my goodness, this is the conflict. You could even just take a note about that, just like you can do tomorrow for our assessment. If you notice that the conflict is getting more and more intense and maybe even reaches its peak, that's when you would write down that this would be the climax. So we are going to be reading this together and stopping to talk as necessary. Freddie in the Shade by Pam Munoz Ryan. Freddie walked down Main Street in a suburb of Minneapolis wearing black wraparound sunglasses. Lately, he never took them off, indoors or outdoors. He hoped that the dark shades would protect him from anything else that might disrupt his life. His mom had died before he could remember, so it had been Freddie and his dad for years, just the two of them against the world. And they'd done fine. Then Dad met Maggie. She was nice enough, but things changed last year after Dad and Maggie got married. A few months later, Maggie announced she was going to have a baby, and Dad began to talk about moving away from San Diego a month after school ended. Dad took a job in Minneapolis. It will be a great year, Dad had said. It means a house instead of an apartment with a yard and a basketball hoop. It means that Maggie will be closer to her family and you'll have a brother or a sister. Freddie had known the truth. It meant that summer before 6th grade, he would have to leave the only neighborhood he'd ever known and all his friends. It meant that on the first day of school, he'd be the new kid, the different kid. He had no interest in Minneapolis or anyone who lived there. The sunglasses went on and stayed on. I want you at this point to consider and look at your notes. Is this an internal conflict for Freddie or an external conflict? What part of the story did we just read on the plot diagram? We got to learn about the protagonist, Freddie. We got to learn some background information, like the fact that his mother has died and that his father got remarried to a woman named Maggie and how he feels about that, and also that he's moving. So think about this conflict. He stopped in front of a clothing store and considered the black hooded sweatshirt in the window. A customer came out of the shop next door, and the smell of cinnamon and buttercream frosting followed. Freddie turned and looked into the window of Snickerdoodle's Bakery. A red-headed man wearing a blue apron emerged through a swinging door and handed a large pink box to a young mother. A toddler clutched at her skirt. As the mother approached the door, trying to manage the cake and the skirt tugger, Freddie jumped to open it for her. "Thank you. Could I bother you to open my car door too?" She nodded toward a minivan parked nearby. Freddie darted to slide open the door. He took the box from her and placed it on the seat. When he turned back toward the bakery, the baker smiled and signaled for him to come inside. As Freddie stood in front of the counter, the man said, "I'm Mr. Fieldstone. Eclair or cream puff? As payment for helping my customer." "Eclair, I guess. Thanks," said Freddie. Mr. Fieldstone handed him a chocolate eclair. Freddie lifted it out of its white paper and bit into the sweet goodness. As he savored the gooey pastry, he glanced down at a card next to the cash register. "Help wanted." Mr. Fieldstone nodded toward the sign. "You interested? I'm looking for someone every afternoon. It's mostly cleanup." For weeks, Freddie had been hibernating in his room, trying to avoid Dad and Maggie. They tried to include him in every boring preparation for the baby. School didn't start for another 6 weeks. He nodded to Mr. Fieldstone, and by the time that he left the bakery, he had a part-time job and a bag of eclairs for dessert. The next day, Mr. Fieldstone gave Freddie an apron and led him to the kitchen. A girl stood over a large bowl stirring cookie dough. Not even the smudges of flour on her face could hide her freckles. "Freddie, this is my daughter Amy," said Mr. Fieldstone. He handed Freddie a broom. "You've got to work the counter. You can start by sweeping the kitchen. Amy will tell you the rest of your duties." As Freddie swept, Amy said, "Chocolate chip or raisins?" "What?" "In the cookie dough," she said. Just chocolate chips." "Oh, you're the type who doesn't like things too complicated, right?" Freddie smirked. "I guess. Where do you live, and what grade are you in?" "Maple Street," said Freddie, "going into 6th. "Me too," said Amy. "I mean, about the 6th grade. We live on Adler, a few streets away. These cookies are for my cousins. I can't bake for the customers yet, but maybe someday. Do you have any brothers or sisters? Especially sisters." "Sorry," said Freddie. "It's just me and a baby on the way." "I've always wanted a sister," she said. All I've got is a bunch of boy cousins on both sides of the family. Babies are a lot of work, I know, because I babysit. But they're cute, and they love you. I mean, they really love you. You're lucky." "Yeah, I'm lucky all right," Freddie muttered. "I can't tell if you're kidding or not with those glasses on," said Amy. "Precisely," said Freddie. He wiped down the baker's racks and cleaned the counters and folded a tower of pink boxes. Later, as he walked home, he thought about what Amy had said. He knew that babies require a lot of attention, but it hadn't occurred to him that he'd be getting any back in return. Every afternoon, Amy had more questions. "Where did you live before? Why did you come here? Why don't you want a brother or sister? Why do you wear sunglasses all the time?" There was something wistful and sincere about Amy's questions, and there was a peculiar feeling of safety in the warm kitchen. The smell of bread baking and the curtains of steam on the windows made it seem like anything Freddie said that there would be protected. He found himself telling Amy bit by bit the answers to her questions. Even the sunglasses made him feel as if nothing could upset his life. "Stuff changes all the time," she said. "How are sunglasses going to stop it? And like I said before, you're lucky. I mean, your whole family is together all the time." Her voice trailed off. At the end of the week, as Freddie left Snickerdoodles, Amy hurried after him. "Hey, wait up! I'm going to the movies tonight with my cousins. Do you want to come?" Freddie knew he wouldn't be able to see a movie while wearing his sunglasses, but he could sneak them off after the lights dimmed and put them back on before the lights came up. He said yes. At the movies, Amy introduced him to her cousins, Mark and Kyle. Mark would be in the 6th grade too. Afterward, they asked him if he wanted to play on their basketball team at the park on Sundays. Freddie wavered for a moment, then remembered that he had a strap for his sunglasses that would keep them secure while he played. He agreed. Freddie was surprised at how much he looked forward to his job at the bakery. He loved opening the store each afternoon and smelling the ginger snaps and snickerdoodles. He loved cleaning the stainless steel and glass counter that held the muffins and pastries. He liked how Mr. Fieldstone treated his customers as they were his best friends. Dad and Maggie began to shop at the bakery every few days, and Mr. Fieldstone always slipped a little something extra into their order, a cream puff or a lemon tart. "We have to fatten up Freddie's little brother or sister," he always said. A few days before school started, Freddie arrived at the bakery and found Amy in the kitchen. So think about what part of the story we just read. Was the conflict getting worse, getting better? Was he trying to fix his conflict? Thinking about his conflict? Think about what part this would be in the story. The plot is developing, and he's developing a friendship with his new friend, Amy. Now, something might happen. I can tell because the author kind of slowed down a little bit. She really described in detail about the bakery. Sometimes authors do that when they are leading up to their climax, making suspense for their readers. Let's find out what happens. These are my going away cookies, she says. I'm leaving tomorrow. Freddie frowned. Leaving? For where? For my mom's. See, I live with my mom during the school year and my dad during the summer and some holidays. I'll be back in December for 2 weeks, then a week in the spring, and then next summer. Puzzled, Freddie asks, Why didn't you mention it before? You never asked. And besides, when I'm here, I like to pretend that I don't ever have to leave. It's just, going to be hard. It's hard going back and forth, so I just don't talk about it. She stared into the cookie dough. Freddie thought back over the past few weeks. She was right. He had never asked her a question about her life or her mother. It had always been Amy being interested in him. She was right about something else, too. The sunglasses hadn't stopped things from changing. Now she was leaving. Think about what just happened in the story. He was, over time, developing this friendship and being more and more comfortable, even slipping off his sunglasses at times and coming to terms with the conflict that he is unhappy about his baby sibling being born and the relationship that his dad has with his new stepmother. Now, the person, Amy, who he's developed this friendship with, is, she's leaving, and he's surprised and upset. He also thinks this line, the sunglasses hadn't stopped things from changing, and now she was leaving. He's making a realization about this conflict that he has. So what part of the story would that be? When a character comes face to face with their conflict and the conflict is at its worst point. He took off the sunglasses and set them on the counter. So what's it like in your town? And what's your mom like? Amy studied his eyes and smiled. More boy cousins and my mom is really nice. You'd like her. On the one hand, I'm lucky because I have a lot of people who love me, but it's like I'm always starting over. When I come here for the summer, everyone already has their friends from school, and when I go back to my mom's, everyone has their new friends from summer, but I'm sort of used to it. She struggles and gave him a half smile. She shrugged and gave him a half smile. Chocolate chip or raisins? She pointed to the dough in the bowl. Both, said Freddie, more complicated that way. They both laughed. So that is a good way of thinking about how did the character change. Before he said no raisins, just chocolate chips. Now the author included a line of text that is completely opposite than what he said before. That shows change. They both laughed. Oh, so change can actually indicate what? If a character changes, what type of a character are they? Think about that. They both laughed. So, since you're an expert on starting over, said Freddie, any advice for the first day of school? Amy nodded. Don't wear sunglasses inside, or some 8th grader might put you in a trash can. The first day of school wasn't bad at all. Freddie and Mark were in the same class, and they played basketball together almost every day at recess. Sometimes Freddie still wore his glasses, but only on sunny days. Like the bright day that December when Amy came back for the holidays, and she and Freddie built a snowman for his new baby sister. So, what part would this be of the story? After this part where everything was at its peak and she was going to leave and he comes face to face with his conflict, it happens quickly, right? Right after all the loose ends are tied up, he's feeling better about going back to school. She kind of gives him some advice, and then we come to the end where he's feeling better about his baby sibling and he takes off his glasses. He made friends at school. So all of those loose ends have been tied up, and his overall conflict was also resolved. Think about, what did he learn throughout the whole story? That can tell us what the theme is. So now what I would like you to do is go on in to Freddie in the Shade plot diagram. I would like you to go ahead, start a new attempt, and practice. You have your notebook out to refer back to and this video if you need help choosing elements of plot. go through, you're going to be filling out this plot diagram,